Abraham, known as the father of the faith, is a central figure in the Jewish, Christian and Islamic traditions. His life and actions have been a source of inspiration and learning for millions of people over the centuries. Today, we will explore 5 valuable lessons we can learn from the story of Abraham, lessons that continue to resonate in our everyday lives and guide us on our journey of faith. From leaving his homeland for a divine call to showing patience and perseverance amid challenges, Abraham teaches us about faith, obedience, hospitality, and compassion. Through their experiences, we can find guidance and inspiration to face our own trials and strengthen our relationship with God. Come with us on this journey to discover how the story of Abraham can enrich and transform our spiritual life. The first lesson we learn from Abraham is about faith and trust in God. Abraham was called by God to leave his homeland, Ur, and go to an unknown place. Imagine the courage necessary to abandon everything that is known and venture into the unknown only with the divine promise as a guide. In Genesis chapter 12 verse 1-4, we see Abraham demonstrating unwavering faith and obeying God without knowing exactly where he was going. His willingness to rely completely on the divine plan is a powerful example of absolute faith and total surrender. This faith of Abraham teaches us the importance of trusting God even when the road ahead is not clear. We are often called upon to make difficult decisions and face uncertainties in our lives. Abraham's story reminds us that by trusting God and following His guidance, we can find the strength to overcome our fears and doubts. Faith, as demonstrated by Abraham, is not just a belief, but a continuous action of trust and obedience. The second lesson we learn from Abraham is about patience and perseverance. God promised Abraham that he would father many nations, but it took 25 years for his son Isaac to be born. During this long period of waiting, Abraham and his wife Sarah faced doubts and challenges, but continued to believe in God's promise. In Hebrews chapter 6 verse 15, it is written that after waiting patiently, Abraham received what he was promised, highlighting the importance of trusting in God's time. Abraham's patience teaches us to value the divine time, which often does not coincide with our human impatience. In a world where we want immediate results, Abraham's story reminds us that some of the greatest blessings come through perseverance and faithful waiting. Maintaining faith and trust, even when the fulfillment of promises seems distant, is crucial to our spiritual journey. Perseverance, nourished by faith, can help us to overcome periods of uncertainty and to continue advancing towards God's promises. The third lesson we learn from Abraham is about obedience to God, even in the face of difficult tests. One of the most extreme proofs of his faith occurred when God asked him to sacrifice his beloved son, Isaac. Despite the pain and internal conflict, Abraham obeyed promptly, showing complete confidence in the divine plan. In Genesis chapter 22 verse 12, at the crucial moment, God prevented the sacrifice by recognizing Abraham's faithfulness and providing a ram as a substitute. This extreme obedience teaches us the importance of following God's will even when it seems incomprehensible or painful. Abraham's willingness to obey, trusting that God had a greater purpose, shows a faith that transcends human understanding. In our lives, we are often called upon to make difficult decisions and follow challenging paths. Abraham's story encourages us to trust God and obey, knowing that He always has a greater and better plan for us, even when we cannot see Him right away. The fourth lesson we learn from Abraham is about hospitality and generosity. In Genesis chapter 18 verse 1-8, Abraham receives 3 visitors in his tent and promptly offers a generous meal, unaware that they were God's messengers. This attitude of welcome and generosity is rewarded with the promise that Sarah would give birth to a son, Isaac. Abraham demonstrated that hospitality can be an expression of faith and an opportunity to serve God. Abraham's hospitality teaches us the importance of treating others well and being generous, even when we don't know who they are or what they can represent in our lives. In a world often focused on individualism, the story of Abraham reminds us that acts of kindness and welcome can have a profound and unexpected impact. Being hospitable not only blesses others, but can also bring blessings to our own lives in ways we cannot predict. The fifth lesson we learn from Abraham is about intercession and compassion. In Genesis 18 verses 22-33, Abraham earnestly intercedes for Sodom and Gomorrah, asking God to spare the cities if at least 10 righteous were found in them. His insistence reveals a heart deeply concerned with the justice and well-being of others, even those whom he did not know personally. Abraham's compassion teaches us the importance of interceding for others in prayer and of caring for the welfare of others. In a world where we are often focused on our own problems, Abraham's willingness to fight in prayer for strangers challenges us to be more empathetic and to engage more actively in the needs of our community. His story inspires us to be channels of compassion and to use our faith to make a difference in other people's lives. The lessons of faith, patience, obedience, hospitality, and compassion we learn from Abraham continue to be relevant and inspiring in our lives today. Abraham shows us that the journey of faith is not without challenges, but that by trusting God and following His commandments, we can overcome adversity and receive His blessings. Every aspect of his life reflects a deep trust in God and a willingness to follow His plan, even when he is not fully understandable. Reflecting on the life of Abraham encourages us to apply these principles in our daily lives. Whether it's facing uncertainty with faith, patiently waiting for God's promises, unconditionally obeying, being generous and welcoming, or interceding for others with compassion, we can get closer to God and strengthen our spiritual journey. May the lessons of Abraham inspire and guide each of us on our way of faith.